Jai Shri Radhe. Continuing with Varta 241, the story of Nanda Das Ji. So Vaishnav ko Jai Shri Krishna, Sadar, Sananda, Saprem, Sadenya, Jai Shri Krishna. Continuing from yesterday. Part 4. One day Tulsidas Ji thought to himself, Nanda Das Ji is in Gokul. I should go there and fetch him here. Tulsidas Ji then left Varanasi and arrived in Mathura in several days. He asked around in Mathuraji, can any of you tell me the whereabouts of Nanda Das Ji, the Brahmin from Varanasi? Someone spoke up. There is one Nanda Das Ji Brahmin who has become the disciple of Sri Gosaiji. He will be in Gokul or at Sri Giriraji. Tulsidas Ji first went to Gokul and was very happy to witness the astounding beauty of the place. He thought to himself, this is such a beautiful place. Nanda Das Ji will never wish to depart from here. Tulsidas Ji then asked around, where might I find Nanda Das Ji, the Brahmin from Varanasi? Someone told him that there was indeed one Nanda Das Ji who was the disciple of Sri Gosaiji, but that Sri Gosaiji was now in Srinathji Dwar and that he would find Sri Gosaiji over there. Tulsidas Ji returned to Mathura, and there he had the holy site of Sri Yamnaji before setting off for Sri Giriraji. There in the village of Parasoli, Tulsidas Ji met Nanda Das Ji. Tulsidas Ji said to him, please now come with me. If you prefer to be in a village, you can live in Ayodhya. Or if you prefer to be in a town, you can live in Varanasi. If you prefer to live by a mountain, you can live in Chitrakoot. And if you prefer a forest, you can reside in Dandakaranya. Sri Ramachandri has purified. Chandraji has purified all of these places by his presence there. To answer him, Nanda Das Ji wrote this pad. Pada Rag Saranga. If you like mountains, live by Sri Govardhan. If you like a village, then live in Nandagam. If you like the town, live in Sri Mathuraji, an ocean of beauty and wondrously lovely. If you like to be by a river, then live on the banks of Sri Yamnaji, who will fulfill your heart's desires. Nanda Das Ji now sings, if you prefer the forest, then come to live in Sri Vrindavan. Then Nanda Das Ji went to have the holy site of Sri Nathji together with Suradas Ji. Tulsidas Ji followed behind them. When they were in the presence of Sri Govardhan Naji, Tulsidas Ji did not bow his head. Nanda Das Ji realized that he would only ever bow his head before Sri Ramachandraji and reasoned, I should facilitate him, having Sri Ramachandraji's holy site here and in Sri Gokul. Then he will get to know of Sri Krishna's supreme power. Nanda Das Ji supplicated Sri Govardhan Naji with this doha. Oh Lord, how can I possibly describe your beauty today? You look so wonderful, but Tulsidas Ji will only bow to you if you hold a bow and arrow in your hands. When Srinathji heard this, he thought, considering his pact with Sri Gosaiji, I should respect what this Sevak of Sri Gosaiji's has said. Sri Govardhan Naji then assumed the form of Sri Ramachandraji and allowed Tulsidas Ji to have his holy site. In that manner, Tulsidas Ji bowed low before Sri Govardhan Naji. He came outside the temple. Nanda Das Ji then set off for Gokul and Tulsidas Ji accompanied him. When he arrived, Nanda Das Ji prostrated before Sri Gosaiji, but Tulsidas Ji would not bow down to him. Tulsidas said to Nanda Das, can you facilitate my having the holy site of Sri Ramji in the same way as you just did back there? Nanda Das Ji approached Sri Gosaiji and said, this is my brother Tulsidas Ji, who refuses to bow to any other than Sri Ramachandraji. Sri Gosaiji spoke up, O Tulsidas Ji, please take a seat. At that time, Sri Gosaiji's fifth son, Sri Raghunath Ji, was standing there. He had just celebrated his marriage. Sri Gosaiji addressed him, O Sri Ramachandraji, your disciple has arrived. Please grant him your holy site. So the lad Raghunath Ji and his wife Sri Janaki Ji assumed the forms of Sri Ramachandraji and Sri Janaki Ji and granted him their holy site. Tulsidas Ji prostrated before them. Tulsidas Ji was very blessed and composed this poem. Pada Rag Saranga. Let me now describe Ayodhya and Sri Gokul. There Sri Janaki's Lord reigns, and here Sri Shama Shyam. There is the wondrous Saraju river, and here Sri Yamnaji. Both of them purify the sins of this Kali Yuga and remove the grief of all beings. There Sri Ramji dons a bejewelled golden crown and stands together with Lakshman. Here Sri Krishna's crown is of peacock feathers, and he stands with the cowherd Balaramji. There Sri Raghunathji happily delivered Kevat the boatman, and Sri Krishna here saved the king Jadunath, clasping his hands and pulling him from within the well. There Sri Ramji, ocean of propriety, granted residence in heaven to Shabari, and here Sri Krishna fulfilled every wish of Kubja, who offered him sandal paste. Sri Ramji and Sri Krishna both assumed human form for the benefit of the devotees. Tulsi Ji, their servant, now sings, I believe in both of you. Please, either of you, now deliver me from this material world. Tulsi Das Ji sang this composition and then prostrated before Sri Gosaiji, saying, "O Maharaj, Nanda Das Ji used to be a man deeply attached to material enjoyments. Now he is a great devotee. How did this happen?" Sri Gosaiji answered him, "Nanda Das Ji was highly worthy recipient and therefore was able to enter this path of grace. Now he has risen to the stage of addiction to the Lord. His devotion is firmly fixed within him." When Tulsi Das Ji heard this, he felt very happy. He prostrated to Sri Gosaiji and took his leave to return to Varanasi. Thus it is told that Nanda Das Ji was the recipient of Sri Gosaiji's great grace and an accomplished Vaishnava, on whose say-so Sri Govardhanaji and Sri Raghunath Lalji both had to assume the form of Sri Ramachandraji. Part 5. One day it came to Nanda Das Ji's mind that in the same way that Tulsi Das Ji had rewritten the Srimad Ramayana in the vernacular, he should also render the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam into Brajbhasha. He completed the whole of that 10th canto into Brajbhasha. All the Pandits of Mathura came to Sri Gosaiji protesting, "O Maharaj, we survived by discoursing on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Your disciple Nanda Das Ji has composed it in Brajbhasha. No one now will wish to hear our discourses. Our income will cease completely. The solution lies in your hands alone." Sri Gosaiji called Nanda Das Ji to him and said, "O Nanda Das Ji, you have written the 10th canto in the Sri Bhagavatam into Brajbhasha, and now these Brahmins' income will be lost. Please retain the 5 chapters referring to the Ras Leela, but throw the rest into Sri Yamunaji." Nanda Das Ji followed Sri Gosaiji's orders and, retaining the 5 chapters of the Vraja Leela, the Ras Panchadhyay, threw the rest into Sri Yamunaji. In this way, Nanda Das Ji was a vessel of Sri Gosaiji's great grace, who followed his every order implicitly. Part 6. Once, the Emperor Akbar and his minister Birbal came to Mathura. Birbal came to see Sri Gosaiji. Sri Gosaiji had gone to Srinathji Dwar, but his son Sri Giridharji was at home. Birbal met with Sri Giridharji and then came back to Emperor Akbar, who asked of him, "Birbal, where did you go?" Birbal replied that he had been to Gokul to see Dikshitji. Sri Gosaiji, however, he had gone to Srinathji Dwar, and his son, Sri Giridharji, was at home. I paid my respects to him and returned here. Akbar again asked, "In a couple of days, let's go to Sri Govardhan, and you can then go to see Sri Gosaiji." 2 days later, Akbar took his troop and set up camp near Manasi Ganga in Govardhan. Birbal excuse me, please. Birbal travelled on to Jatipura to have the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji. He then prostrated before Sri Gosaiji and then returned to the camp. Nanda Das Ji then became aware that Emperor Akbar was camped at Manasi Ganga. Akbar had one maidservant who was the disciple of Sri Gosaiji. She was highly graced by Sri Govardhanaji, who appeared and granted her his holy sight. Nanda Das Ji held much affection for that maidservant, and so he went to Manasi Ganga to meet with her. He searched for her. She had gone to Bilchu Kund, where she was cooking under some trees. She completed her preparations and then offered them to her lord, Sri Govardhanaji, who came there to partake. Nanda Das Ji had his holy sight there and became overjoyed. He remarked, "Her fortune is great." He stood beneath a nearby tree and sung this poem. Rag Tori. The clever gopi is praising a picture on the wall, but again and again turns her head to look at Sri Krishna. Her head is bowed, but she is gazing at him whilst adjusting her hair and not even blinking. Thus Nanda's queen guesses what is going on. A curtain is pulled across the entrance to the room where the Lord is being served his meal on a golden tray. It is there that the poet Nanda Das Lord places his hand upon his heart and then signals to her, and from there she replies with a smile. So Aaj Ke Anand Ki Jai Ho, we complete the reading for today here, and we'll continue with the wonderful story of Sri Nanda Das Ji tomorrow. Sabko Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.